When Diane turned 54, she realized her morning jogs weren't giving her the same results they used to. She was still lacing up her sneakers every other day, pounding the neighborhood sidewalks, but her waistline was thicker, her energy more unpredictable, and the number on the scale had crept up despite no major changes to her eating habits. It wasn't until her annual checkup that her doctor mentioned the word menopause in connection with her fitness struggles. Diane had stopped having periods 2 years earlier, but she hadn't thought much about how the hormonal shift might change her workouts. The doctor explained that lower estrogen levels could lead to muscle loss, slower metabolism, and changes in how her body stored fat. The news hit harder than she expected. Diane prided herself on staying active. She had always believed that if she just kept moving, her body would cooperate. Now she felt like she'd been working against a silent current for years. Determined to get back on track, she signed up for a small group training program at her local gym. The instructor, Carla, was a compact woman in her 40s with the kind of strength you could see even in a t-shirt. On the first day, Diane admitted she wasn't sure what she needed to change. Carla nodded knowingly. After menopause, the rules shift. Cardio alone won't cut it anymore. You need to focus on resistance training, mobility, and recovery just as much as endurance. It's about building strength, protecting your bones, and keeping your metabolism humming. The first surprise for Diane was how much time they spent lifting weights. Carla started her with dumbbell squats, chest presses, and bent-over rows. The weights weren't huge, but they were heavy enough to make the last 2 reps challenging. Muscle is your best ally right now, Carla said. It burns calories even when you're resting, and it keeps your bones strong. Estrogen used to help protect bone density, but now strength training has to take over that job. At first, Diane was skeptical. She'd always thought lifting weights would make her bulky, but after a few weeks, she noticed her arms looked more toned and her posture was straighter. Carrying grocery bags didn't make her shoulders ache anymore. Carla also introduced her to interval training, short bursts of intense effort followed by recovery. Instead of jogging for 30 minutes at the same pace, Diane started doing 1-minute fast walks or jogs followed by 1 to 2 minutes of slower walking. This not only kept her workouts shorter, but also left her feeling more energized instead of drained. Then came flexibility and balance work. Diane had never given much thought to stretching beyond a few toe touches, but Carla explained that after menopause, joint stiffness and reduced balance could increase the risk of injury. They began adding yoga-inspired stretches, hip openers, and single-leg balance exercises at the end of each session. The biggest change, however, wasn't physical, it was mental. In her 20s and 30s, Diane had worked out mostly to manage her weight. Now the focus shifted to capability, being able to hike with friends, play on the floor with her grandchildren, and move without pain well into her 70s. Nutrition played a role too. Carla reminded her that protein intake was even more important now to support muscle growth and repair. Diane began starting her mornings with Greek yogurt and berries, adding chicken or salmon to her salads, and having a small protein snack after workouts. She also made sure to get enough calcium and vitamin D for her bones. It wasn't always smooth sailing. On some days, Diane woke up stiff and tired, tempted to skip the gym. In the past, she might have pushed herself anyway, but Carla taught her that recovery days were essential. Your body builds muscle during rest, not during the workout, she said. On those days, Diane would take a long walk, do gentle stretching, or just enjoy an extra hour of sleep without guilt. After 3 months, the changes were undeniable. Diane's clothes fit better, her energy was steadier, and she no longer dreaded the idea of working out. She looked forward to her sessions, not just for the physical benefits, but for the confidence they gave her. One Saturday morning, she went for a hike with a group of friends. The trail was steeper than she remembered, but she powered up the incline without stopping, her legs strong and steady. At the summit, she looked out over the valley and realized she hadn't felt this capable in years. The next week, Carla asked her to reflect on her progress. Diane thought about the shift in her approach. Before, she'd been chasing calorie burns and scale numbers. Now, she was chasing strength, mobility, and independence. She realized the best way to work out after menopause wasn't about one magic routine. It was about a balance. Strength training 2 to 3 times a week to build muscle and protect bone density. Interval cardio for heart health and calorie burn without long, draining sessions. Flexibility and balance work to keep joints healthy and reduce injury risk. Adequate rest and recovery to allow the body to adapt and grow stronger. A protein-rich diet to support all of it. Diane wasn't interested in going back to the way she trained before. This new method didn't just keep her in shape, it gave her a plan she could see herself following for decades. Months later, she bumped into her doctor at the grocery store. When she mentioned the changes she'd made, the doctor smiled. That's exactly what I wish more of my patients would do. You're not just exercising, you're training for the rest of your life. Diane walked away from that conversation with a quiet pride. She had started this journey to reclaim her body after menopause. What she hadn't expected was how much it would also restore her confidence, her energy, and her sense of control over the years ahead.